Hi, my name is Heather Evans, and I wanted to share something a little different than an episode. I had no intentions of posting this video. This is a book that I have written. This is the third book that I've written. It is called Marked Breaking Free from the Bondage of Insecurity. Anytime someone asks me like why I write books, I do not do it for applause. I do it out of obedience to the Lord. God put something in my heart and I write it. I don't have a marketing plan, no launch strategy. I'm just writing, sending it to my publisher, putting it out there, and then that's it. I just, out of obedience. But yesterday, he put really heavy on my heart that he wanted me to share it here. So that's what I'm doing. There's a generation, and the reason why the banner raised was started, there's a generation of people, believers walking around who are wounded, who are shrinking back, they're living small, not because God didn't call them, but because the enemy has convinced them that they're not worth calling on. They're broken and they feel that they've been forgotten and it's just they're too far gone, they're too dirty. And I might be talking to you, but I'm here to tell you that is a lie. I wrote this book because I know what it's like to live under the weight of rejection. Like, I know what it feels like when you feel like you slipped through the cracks. Like, everybody else got the memo, but it completely skipped you altogether. And so you don't know what love feels like. You don't know what someone tells you you're chosen, and you're like, okay. And it just, you don't believe it. You can't receive that. But somehow, all of those things just never got to you. You just skipped that line that day that God was creating you. And I've lived there. I lived there for all of my life. I've had trauma in my life like all of us since we were children. But I had an encounter with the Lord, multiple encounters with the Lord. They weren't like self-help strategies. It wasn't a 5-step plan that he broke it off with me. So these pages hold the weight of that transformation. This is the revelation that came out from that encounter with the Lord. So God is calling his people. God is done with his people, his children living like orphans when we were adopted as royalty. That he is done with watching his sons and daughters perform for love that we already have access to. He is done with his army sitting on the sidelines because insecurity has told them that they don't qualify. So I want to show you a little bit of what's inside. So we open with you are known. We have to deal with that first because you have to, before you even start this journey, you have to settle the fact that God sees you fully, completely, that nothing has been missed. So that takes you into that. And then the second chapter is where do I belong? With that one, we're going to address like deep aches of displacement. So that feeling that you've never quite fit in, you've never been good enough. So that is chapter 2, that we dive into that. So chapter 3 is the structure of insecurity. Okay, the structure of insecurity. This one gets to the root. This one took me a while to write because this one is very deep and very in detail. He didn't want to miss anything. So here we pull back the layers that expose how insecurity actually builds on itself in your life, because you can't demolish what you won't identify or what hasn't been identified. So that is what we do with this. The next chapter is called Upgraded. This is where shift happens. SHIFT, shift happens. This is where God takes everything the enemy meant to disqualify you and turns it into your testimony. The next chapter is the secret place. My favorite chapter is about the secret place. So this one is super duper close to my heart because the answer to insecurity is not your willpower, it's intimacy. It's learning how to dwell in his presence. And so the longer you're in his presence, the louder his voice. Maybe not his voice becomes louder, it's everything else shuts itself down and gets real quiet, and then you can hear his voice more clearly. Secret place is of the utmost importance. And so the next one is living marked. So chapter 6 is living marked. So this is your commissioning. This tells you exactly how to walk in that freedom, not just in that moment, but to carry it every single day, all throughout your life and through your calling. The next one is called The Chapter I Didn't Want to Write. And I won't really talk about that one because that one, when you read it, you'll understand why. I didn't want to write it, so I don't really want to talk about it. So the chapter I didn't want to write. So, and then the last chapter is if you're a parent, I really encourage you, even if you borrow a book from a friend, like you really got to read this one. The last one is Breaking the Cycle, because freedom isn't just about you, it's about the generation coming up behind you. So that chapter, as I'm writing, was breaking me, and I was in tears like, as I'm writing. When I'm writing, I have no idea what he's going to say. He says what he says while I'm writing. So the Breaking the Cycle chapter is really good. But this book will go through deep spiritual roots of rejection, abandonment, and orphan mindset, which all line up with insecurity. And it'll walk you through all the truths of who you actually are, because freedom isn't about feeling better. It's actually about stepping into your assignment. So I will put the link in the description and get the book. Like if you live local, you can come get the book from me. But I would love to walk this out with you. Like message me, tell me what God's revealing to you in the pages. I would love to walk alongside you in this and hear your testimony and hear what God's doing in your life. Like I love to hear what God's doing in people's lives. Because your healing isn't just about you or isn't just for you. It is the doorway for everything that God has called you to do. So don't forget you are marked. So the link is in the bio. So I just wanted to share that. So thank you for watching. Bye.